Let me guess. You have studied English for many years, perhaps decades, and by now I'm sure that you have understood most of the grammar rules. You have perhaps memorized hundreds, if not thousands, of vocabulary. Yet still, when you show up in an interview, or when you try to write an email to your boss, or even just something simple, joining an online conversation, you freeze. Well, the good news is that you are not the problem. There's nothing wrong with you. The problem is the method or the way in which the language was taught to you. You see, for many years we have taught English language with the question, how well will you speak English after the lessons? The goal has been for the student or the learner to achieve fluency, perfect speech in the language. But the language is not for just speaking, for the sake of speaking. We learn a language in order to use it as a means of transaction somewhere. You see, you are in this class right now as a student of the language, but there is something else that you do. It's not that you are not able to speak right now. You can speak, right? But the language that you are acquiring right now is supposed to help you, perhaps to secure an admission in a university that uses English as their mode of delivery. You want to learn the language because you're a manager and you have a number of subordinates that depend on you for instructions and they need to report back to you. So you need to give them instructions. You are learning the language because you are a waiter or a waitress and you need to serve your customers, some of whom may not speak your native language. This is important for us to realize that we are learning English for the practical use, not just for memorization of vocabulary and the grammar rules. We therefore need to shift from learning the language for the sake of it to learning practical language, that as we continue to learn, we are able to actively use this language both in class and outside. So this brings us to something called applied English. Applied English is a method that we learn and teach the language that is a little different from what we have been doing all along. You see, the method that you used to just memorize vocabulary, to just get grammar rules and not use them at all, was not very useful to you. But right now, applied English suggests that in class, as we continue to learn, we actually use the things that we do, the things that we like, to be able to learn the language and use it in class. For example, I am a manager learning the English language for managerial work. Now, in the class, I'm going to still act as a manager. I will act as a manager and I will have people that I will interview and give them jobs in class. I will have people in class that will act as waiter and waitress and customer and hotel manager. We practice through active role play. We don't just sit down and memorize things. We do it in class. Shift from what will I understand to what will I be able to do with the language, and those will be practical goals that can measure your language acquisition and potentially your language use, which is more important than just acquiring the language for the sake of it. You could have interesting topics about real life. For example, you can say English for professional communication, English for academic skills, English for travel, English for hotel and hospitality. These are real life situations. These are real life experiences that we go through every day, and we just want the language to beef it up for us, to help us to be able to understand this better. The other thing that is important is this: as you learn, you should be able to do real life projects in class. For example, you take up a project that you work on throughout the semester, and by the end of the semester you present this project as a finished product to the teacher, and through the project exercise and the working together with the teammates, you have learned how to communicate with them. You have learned how to collaborate with other people. You have learned how to be a leader and to report. So these things you are acquiring are the practical things that are needed in your job outside of the learning environment. We have a tragedy of people in the past that have learned language. They can speak very well, but they cannot communicate. You see, communication is more than just speaking. Communication means you are able to pass a message and make sure the other person understands. If they don't, they should seek clarification, and you are able to adapt your message to a better presentation so that they can understand what you're saying. Communication means reading beyond what people say. And this is not just about fluency. It is about actively working with people. If you're able to understand each other from the beginning of the assignment to the time when you present your assignment in class or to the teacher, you've learned something beyond just language. You're able to learn leadership. If you are given group leadership, for example, you lead a group from beginning to the end of the project, that is a success. But for you to lead a group from beginning to the end of the project, it means you have been able to use language practically to influence people and to work together with people and to resolve conflicts that might have arisen in your course of working together. So these things are what we are calling applied English. Applied English. Practical English. You should be able to solve a real life problem. If there is a challenge, for example, they can say, we are facing this problem, solve it. That's my assignment to you. How do you solve that? It means you must seek out help. You need to look for people that are concerned with specific things. You go to them, ask guidance, ask for resources, and come up with a solution. But in the whole process of doing all this, you are acquiring language practically. This is the future of how language should be taught. This is the future basically of how all lessons should be taught. Education has to shift from just being acquisition of knowledge to practical usage of knowledge. Use it in practical way. Let us see you implement what we are teaching you to do later, so that by the end of your learning, we are sure that with the language that you have acquired, you can do. Let's shift from what will I be able to speak or how will I be able to speak to what will I be able to do with the language after learning. See you in the next video.